All right, we're back. Waste Management, Phoenix Open week, Live Las Vegas week, and I think we got the Cuddy Masters going on this week over on the DP World Tour, Qatar. They are headed back to the Middle East. Or I guess they've been in the Middle East forever over there on the DP. But Jers, Matt Gannon, you're here. You just told me you've been doing 2 hours of pods before this, so you're locked in. You've got the takes ready to go. How are we doing? How are we feeling?
Dialed depressed. The state of 2024 golf is not great, and it's just taking like years off my life. I can feel it in my. I wake up in cold sweats because like who's putting right now? What's going on? It's a mess, but we have golf to talk about, which is great. But by the hour, another guy's probably going to withdraw by the time we do this fucking pod. So yeah, so it's a lot going on right now, but we still got golf to handicap, and it's been a bleak first month. It has been. I know Adam just had a winner on Live, so cheers to him for that. But it's been a bleak first month of golf betting for the masses. So hopefully we can change that heading into February, and I would assume you would agree with me there.
Yeah, new month, new opportunities. It was nice to finally get a winner. First winner ever on Live. I like half-assed betting it last year. Didn't really take it that seriously. Not that I really took it that seriously this week, but yeah, Jocko Neiman, he was just balling out. He thought his odds were fair. No one else had really been playing golf, and said, let's ride with Jocko. Worked out. He seems like a guy that you'd bet your whole life and never hit a winner on. So I'm glad that I've got a Neiman winner at least. I don't know if that'll ever happen again, but give me your take on what took place at Pebble Beach. Is this a legitimate win for Wyndham Clark? Is this illegitimate? Is it fraudulent? What's your official stance on the AT&T Pebble Beach, Brian?
I think it's the double asterisk because people were already giving him shit for the lift clean and play 60, which I think is bullshit. Like he shot 60, and then 54 holes. If everyone knew, if it was announced that it was 54 hole tournament on Saturday morning, okay, whatever, it's 54 holes. Wyndham's not going out and shooting 60. There's added pressure. There's more stuff going on in the brain. That was just a backdoor low round like we see all the time from a weekend guy. I just don't. I think the guys up top would have also played very differently, and it would have changed a lot of things. So I'm not taking anything away from Wyndham, but I definitely think there needs to be an asterisk.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. I mean, I think the biggest thing being that if you know it's 54 holes ahead of time, like obviously we can make the Live like PGA Tour jokes, but at the end of
Ironic,
the day,
right?
yeah, but at the end of the day, going into the final round of Live, like this is the final round, and I don't think it's crazy to say that golfers play different in a final round. And I think, to your point, those guys at the top of the leaderboard, the Ludvigs of the world, maybe they knew it was the final round. Maybe they didn't know it was the final round. Maybe they had in their head it could be the final round. Maybe they didn't. Like, obviously, who knows there? But
The booth seemed to know. They kept saying it. Like
they,
they
I,
were.
so I was, to be honest, I was watching Live most of the day, and I had it
You
like
did
the
say
TV.
that.
I had the TV muted, but what were they saying?
They kept hinting like we might not be here tomorrow. And like Balionis or Amanda Renner kept saying like, we like there's the forecast tomorrow, so we might not be able to play tomorrow. I feel like they knew, but with that being said, like that wasn't announced, and I don't think the entire field know. But keep going.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, yeah, you play differently in a final round, and especially like, who knows? Again, maybe Ludwig did know it's the final round, and he played those last 9 holes trying to get to the lead or tie the lead or whatever. And what would have happened if they were tied for the lead? What do we just wait and
Yeah, good question.
do they play it off in Phoenix? Like, what would have happened if they were tied?
That is like no one posed that question. I didn't see that on Twitter yet. You need to tweet that after the show or during the show. I don't know. What would they have done? Like, would they have gone out in the win and had it closest to the pin competition? I feel like that might have been the only option, but that would have been a double wrench thrown into things, and that's what I wish would have happened. Now that you bring it up,
And we would have been. I mean, we were so close. I mean, Wyndham obviously missed those putts on the last few holes, like left him short, but he'd also made infinity length of putts before, so he maxed out like his round to the
yeah,
most he possibly could have shot. So, and then Ludwig ends up a shot behind. I think Pavone was a shot behind that. Like, there's a bunch of guys before. There is a highlight. Like, you replay that day, probably 50% or more of the time, there's a tie at the top of the leaderboard. So that would have been fascinating. Fortunately, we don't get it. I I saw the path for Wyndy ahead of time. Like he literally would have been on the card, but I decided, you know what, let's go to the top of the board because that makes a ton of sense, and let's bet Xander Schauffele. That went horrific for me and you.
I'm so happy he's not playing this week.
You had him as well. I'm glad he's not playing as well either, because if he had like won this week, that would have been absolute catastrophe mentally for me. But the Wyndham path made sense. He spotted well there before. Like the tee to green play was looking really good coming into the event. So in the sense of like, to me, it's not fraudulent in the sense that like Wyndham made sense to win this tournament. It is fraudulent that it's so hard to back up a low round of 60, a 61, 62. Like how often do we see 100%. Those guys come back out and shoot, 2 or 3 under for him, and the final round would have been an excellent round. I don't think played over 72 holes that he ends up winning this tournament. I think, honestly, I'm not a Ludwig guy, but he would have been my pick to win there in the final round. I'm coming around on Lud, to be honest with you. Like he, the reason I didn't like him at first is because there was so much hype about him, and it was just like, this guy, I'm always out on a hype train. Like I just don't sign up for hype trains. It's not for me. I'm gonna take the opposite side almost every time. But I've got no issues with it. He seems like a nice guy. I like his interviews. He's fun to watch. Like I'm trending in the Lud draft. I know you're a Lud guy. Who would have been your pick going into the final round if it was played? Let's say the weather's pretty normal. They go into the final round. Who's your winner?
Well, if we were betting in like the without Tiger Pavone market, then probably Ludwig. But you never know. Pavone could have just won it again because he's just a ball striking savant out of nowhere.
Is he the greatest ball striker of all time? I mean, like
people are saying
it. Every now and then he just hits a shot, and it's like, damn, that was an unbelievable shot. And I think there was one on. It was 9 because like I said, I was watching Live. I kept flipping back over because I wanted to see I wanted to see every putt Wyndy hit because I was like, I'm reading on Twitter. It's unbelievable. I got to see it. Yeah. And I flip over. The first shot I see, Pavone's on the downslope on 9 from like 190 to like a tucked front left pin. He hits it to like 3 feet, just a nice little high cut, and just stops right there. I was like, this guy's a generational ball striker.
I mean, it's fun. He's in the field.
He's playing this week.
I'm pretty sure.
Hold on.
Maybe not.
He should be, and if he is, he could win again. I don't.
No, he might have taken off because he might just be a Cali guy. We'll have to see.
He's not playing. Strokes gained POA for Pavone has been off the charts. So I'm sure he's going to be back at Riv. I assume that's where we'll see him next. That generational ball striking, we'll be on the lookout for that at.
You know what's great about that? Over the next like 5 to 10 years, we always get those like model lists of like best POA putters. Pavone is going to be on that for the next 10 years, like because of this one run he's on.
Yeah, he'll be on there for a generation. Dietrich up there again, melted the second he started sniffing the lead on Friday. He could have gone ahead by like 6 shots because he had all those easy holes on the front 9. He did not do that. He went backwards. Jason Day finished tied for 6th, apparently. I guess he played good on Saturday. I didn't really see much Day, but
he played great on Saturday. I think he shot 7 under or 6 under yesterday or Saturday, and just got overshadowed by Wyndham's round. And yeah, literally course horse. And like I talked about pre-tournament how the results were. He's never missed a cut at Pebble. It's like 13 for 13, I believe, and they were all his average finish was like 13th, and he was not playing bad before coming into this week, but I did not expect this again. So another great finish for J-Day.
JT continues to play like perfect tee to green golf. I saw he had the longest putt that he had for par the whole week was like 3 feet 6 inches. Just absolutely clinical golf. We'll get to him this week. You, I believe, are questioning Scottie Scheffler's ability to win golf tournaments after with the 36 hole lead. What's your take on what's going on with Scottie?
Yeah, it aroused to me after or during the Colonial, the one that he lost to Burns in the playoff. That whole weekend he just played significantly he looked nervous. Like he just looked nervous differently and not as free. And over his last few tournaments where he's had the 36 hole lead, he just never comes out and does great on Saturday. Like he'll have that like front 9, will have 1 birdie. It just looks very like just dull, very dull.
To me, it's the putter is better. Like the putter is better a little bit on average. His putting's a little bit better. It looks a little bit better. But both tournaments that I have hold on, let me look. So this year, at least, the 36 hole lead tournaments, Pebble and Century. I think he had the lead right at Century, or he was like right near the lead. At Pebble, obviously we only have 2 rounds of data, but round 2, at Pebble. He shoots 8 under, gains 2.6 on the greens, like making everything putting well.
That's insane.
Round 3, minus 1.76. So like the putter goes cold under pressure. And then at Century, I'm pretty sure the story was the same. So at Century, let's get Scottie pulled up here. He goes negative for the event, but he was positive first round, positive second round, minus 2.1 in the third round, and minus 1.67 in the final round. So, like, for all the mechanical stuff that we talk about with Scottie, obviously he's a great champion. He won the Masters. He's won this event twice in a row, but there's something with the putter under pressure on the weekends right now where the putts just aren't going in.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the putter's already a question mark, and you throw that in, and it's not like we're not faulting Scottie. We're just nitpicking right here. It's like the one thing, especially when he gets into the lead, it's just makes it a little bit worse. So just something to keep an eye on. Last year, he was tied for the 36-hole lead and obviously came through in this event. But there's been many tournaments in the year that we're just overthinking at the moment, but he just looks different when he gets into that position.
And we'll get to waste here in a second. I do want to talk about Liv quickly. Obviously, I texted this weekend that I'm officially in on Liv, but that was solely when Niemann had the lead. The second he lost the lead, I was out on Liv, but then he came back and won. So I'm officially in on Liv. And I will say I know you watched a ton of Liv last year. I watched a reasonable amount, and I'd flip it if I didn't have anything else. I'd flip it on. And a couple of things to me that certainly stand out where like people talk shit about Liv, and rightfully so. There's a lot of reasons to like talk shit about it. But one of the things people always say is, oh, they don't care. Oh, they like, they're not innovative. Like all this, like all that type of like talk. I think they did a couple cool things so far this year that shows signs that like they kind of see the bigger picture. Like going into the final round, instead of having all the guys shotgun start, they had the second to last group also go off of one, so that the final.
They've been doing
that. Okay,
yeah.
Because I remember last year, at least when I was like watching the first handful of tournaments, that was the most confusing part. Is like you'd have that group who was second to last or third to last, and there'd be a guy who's like in the mix, and you'd be like, is he on the second? Like didn't know which hole. So that stood out to me, and I guess they've been doing it for a little bit, but I liked that. And then just from a like sweating and outright perspective, I don't care if it's a junior high golf tournament or the Masters. Like if I have a guy in the mix, I want to be able to watch them play. Like at the end of the day, do I really care what they're playing for or no? Like I want to win my bet and I want to like enjoy the sweat of watching the guys.
We're all here for.
Yeah, like it really doesn't matter what they're playing for. I don't really care. And so to be able to know that I'm going to see every meaningful shot from the guys who are in contention, and I don't have to sit there like stressing, oh, do I check shot tracker? Like, do I just wait to see if they're going to show it? Like, that's just annoying and causes extra like stress, I guess, of watching the final round of you guys in the mix. It was such an enjoyable experience. All 3 days of like watching Niemann and knowing I'm going to see all the shots, and then also knowing, oh, is somebody make a birdie who's catching up? I'm going to see that too. Like, there's a ton of potential for Liv from a betting perspective, just because that's such a better experience when you got guys in the mix.
Yeah, and that's always been their thing. Like you see in every shot, and it's a real thing, and it's a simple thing. Just show the golf shots and Liv. See, there was a few commercials more than normal, but it wasn't anything absurd. But I mean, you never know. Give it a few events, and they could just go fully sell out, which. You think that they're never going to, but like, how are they gonna never be able to spend money or receive money, I guess, from sponsors? I don't know, and hopefully it remains the same. But they just need to keep that formula of just simply showing golf shots. So it is a more enjoyable watch. I do like the scoreboard setup. I do. I mean, I've watched Liv, like you said. I always enjoy watching Liv. I just, yeah. So with that being said, I think it is a good product, and just show shots. Yeah, simple.
And I was just kind of alluding with it, like I don't really care what they're playing for, but it becomes even more like apparent when you're flipping back and forth between Liv and Pebble Beach. And like obviously Pebble Beach is this historic event on the PGA Tour, but like I'm flipping back and forth. And first of all, you're watching shots and you flip over and it's like the amount of time they show guys just walking up the fairway on the tour broadcast. Like I didn't even notice it until I was watching Liv. It's like I don't need to see guys walking up the fairway. Like I'm good. But what really is the difference between winning Liv Mayakoba over what's now like really strong fields? Like the top of that leaderboard is just like elite players, and then winning at Pebble Beach. Like, yeah, Pebble Beach is historic, but does it really matter that like I was just having a hard time caring about like, oh, the meaningfulness of these events, when especially the signature events, we're getting crazy winners like Chris Kirk's winning Century, Kirk Kitayama's winning API, like Wyndy's winning Wells Fargo before he's, like, I'm just not feeling that signature event feeling where there's
No,
meaningfulness
I
in those
agree.
events.
And this first month I felt like so like different and like less motivated to turn on my TV and watch the given event, which is sad, but it's like real, and it's because of the dilution of the tour. And I don't know what the answer is. I think the answer is a big name step up and win a golf tournament within the next week or so. And hopefully that could just bring everything together back to some normalcy. No, but not that it's a bad thing that lesser players are winning. It's not that. It's the entire tournament as a whole. Like no one's in contention. There's no
I
like
think
it.
I don't like. I'm fine with long shots winning. Like I enjoy long shots.
Yeah,
Like I don't. I'll watch any golf tournament. Like I really don't care. We watch the DP World Tour all the time. Like it doesn't really matter to me.
exactly.
But there's just no feeling of importance to me in the signature events versus any other event versus a live versus a DP World Tour. Like they've all kind of just blended together for me. And it means that the majors, and this was true last year and this continues to be more like, those are the tournaments that matter, those 4 tournaments per year. And then obviously the players I think is different on the PGA Tours because like the players has that history behind it. But like we're gonna have Riviera next week. I think maybe that'll hopefully feel like a little bit of extra
I
weight,
hope.
but maybe it's me. Maybe people listening to this are like, "Oh, you're full of it." Like I love the Pebble and Live sucks, and this isn't me saying pro Live things. It's more just saying in general, like tournaments that aren't the majors. I'm just not feeling that level of like I just don't care who wins. Like it
Exactly.
doesn't matter. Like I hate to say it.
Yeah, and it's everyone loves an underdog, but you need the stars to shine. And not that the star shining on Live is making it like a much better watch, but it really might have been this past week because, like you said, the leaderboard on Live compared to what we saw yesterday was night and day. So we've had 4 straight 100-to-1 winners plus. Something has to change. And there's no way like in other sports, outside sources can affect that. Like refs can like aid the favorite to like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like the refs
yeah,
sometimes like want the favorite, even in like a basketball game, like Kentucky versus underdog. Like all right, they'll give Kentucky a call here and there, Kansas at home, shit like that. But in golf, there's
yeah.
no outside source to like aid them to success. So we need our stars to our few stars remaining to buck up and get in
Yep.
the mix.
And I think that's the core part. Like if big guys are winning the tournaments, it adds credibility to it. It adds like prestige. It adds all this stuff, and then it just hasn't
Hmm.
happened. Honestly, going even back to last year's signature events, it just isn't taking place. And I will say before switching on to waste management, we've seen Neiman playing really well through the winter. Like he played good in Australia. He played good at the Dubai Desert Classic. You forget because we haven't been seeing him lately. When he's driving the golf ball,
Unreal.
generational driver of the
Yep.
golf ball, like absolutely world class. Sergio's a good driver. Like Sergio hits it pretty far. In the playoff, Walker was like 45 yards past him. And that was
Walker
all
was
day.
blasting it past Rom, like
He
in
was
in
I saw that he was like
nuts.
186 ball speed, which would be number 2 on tour right now. Like Neiman, he looks stronger too. Like he just physically looks like he's been
Yeah.
hitting the gym. He's been talking about focus. So I know there's the debate about like him saying I want to be in the majors, and I'm of the camp that should he be in the majors? 1,000%. He's a top 30 player in the world without a doubt. Does he also know what he signed up for going to Live, and that means you might not get to play in the majors? Yes. So like I don't want to hear him like crying about it, but he's
Agree.
an unbelievable golfer, great talent, like a player who still has a ton of potential and upside ahead of him. And for me, it's always been like his level of focus. He just doesn't seem like he cares a lot of the time. But right now, he seems like he's locked in, seems like he cares. And just watching him play this week, he's the driving is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was a good watch. I wasn't as dialed in as you were, but I got the key moments. So, yep, I'm ready to move on to waste when you are.
Let's do it. Give me the tips. Give me the keys to success. I know you've got kind of a consistent style of player on the lookout for this week. What's the game plan at waste?
Yeah, so I am pretty firm on the stance that super aggressive driving leads to success here, paired with an excellent short game. It's a unique blend that we don't really see on tour, maybe outside of the major venues where you really need a good short game to shine. Not that you can get away with having a bad short game. You surely can just hit all the greens. That's pretty simple, but it's not always the case. And even before Scottie Scheffler won here, I pointed to him as the driver around the green build type player, and I've always had that case with this golf course. So it's no surprise he has so much success here. So I'm looking for generational drivers, not generational, good drivers with a good short game to pair with it.
Yep, and I think the major piece is interesting, or like you mentioned, majors. 8 of the last 9 winners here have major championships. Obviously, Scottie didn't have one when he won, but he was on his way to winning a major championship, and now has gone back to back. To the driving point, every player back to 2010 at least has gained off the tee, at least 2 strokes off the tee. So like you've got to gain off the tee. There's just no other path here that involves not gaining off the tee. Because of that, there's going to be a distance edge every single time. Like when off the tee is that important. Now, players like Webb Simpson have one here, but he is a player who gains off the tee with accuracy. So like if you're going that route, they've got to be a really strong, like you can't miss fairways.
Nick
at
Taylor
all.
last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to be hitting fairways. And then, yeah, there is that route for a non powerful ball striker to just scramble his ass off. But I think like that route can get you in the top 10. That can get your name to pop up. But like the clear, consistent path where like a huge chunk of the guys are going to mix here is just tee to green players with distance. And also, and this was true last week at Pebble as well. I wrote about this at Pebble, and it rang true. And it's the same here, is like there's a string of players going back at least to I think 2013, besides Brooks, who won on his debut, who had gained strokes putting on these greens prior to winning here. And that was true at Pebble. It went back to like 2012, 2013, where every player who had won had previously gained on the greens at Pebble. Wyndham Clark had putted well at Pebble before, and we see that here this week. Just going and looking at these putting stats, Scottie had gained over 6, he had gained 5, Brooks had gained 4 before, Webb had gained 7, Fowler 8, Gary and Hideki had gained at least 2. So like, find the guys who are good ball strikers, find the guys who are hitting it far, and then go and look and see, have these guys putted well on these greens before? That's kind of the angle that I'm taking.
I'm going to have to. I didn't think of that, but I'm definitely going to consider that when I'm finalizing my my bets this week, because these are unique greens that we don't see week in, week out. So I'm gonna look at that.
And then also, I thought it was interesting that back to 2013, every winner has had a previous top 5 or a previous top 10 finish in one of their last 5 starts. So, like guys who are in form, guys who are playing well. This isn't a rocket science course or a rocket science course to handicap. It feels like a week that we get somebody closer to the top of the board to win. If you had to choose between, like, I guess we lost Vic and Xander, so that's kind of shrunk the guys, but 25 or below winner or 25 or above winner, which side of that are you going on this week?
Below. But like, I mean, yeah, below. But I would have to pick the 3-1 guy in that case.
That's fair. I guess I should have removed Scottie from that equation. But Scottie versus JT this week at the top. I think that's to me the 2 clear players. And I don't know if this is a hot take. I guess it's a hot take because Scottie's won twice in a row. I think Justin Thomas is more likely to win this tournament than Scottie is this week. That's my hot take at the top of the board.
No, that is definitely a hot take.
Like the way he's just been playing, ridiculous. It's literally perfect golf tee to green. He comes to a spot where he's had plenty of success. He's putted well in these greens before. I think that was the thing last week where like I really wanted to bet JT. He just didn't have the history of putting on Pebble for me to get involved. And he obviously lost a bunch of strokes there, but he gained strokes putting at the Amex on Poa Bermuda-ish, like overseeded greens. He had putted well a few starts before that, putted well at Wyndham. Like he's putted well here historically. I think he's just right there. He's knocking on the door. He's due. Scottie seems a little off with the flat stick. Like obviously he puts well on these greens, but I think JT's right there as the favorite in this tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot take, and he's got great course history. Loves it here. I just can't get rid of the thought that Scottie is what he is, and he heads through a golf course that I think fits him perfectly. So, and he's clearly had great success here. So I'll go against with you. I'll go Scottie in that matchup.
Do we even know who the last time someone won 3 in a row is? Was it like
Stuart Appleby?
Stuart Appleby back in the day, but
I don't know.
I think Stricker picked up some
John Deere.
The JD back in the day, but 3 in a row. Like Scottie's a great player, but 3 in a row is a serious thing. Pick up Bet365 hasn't boosted for what it's worth. I always have my eyes on the Bet365 boost that they usually don't
So
come
what,
from.
like 5-1?
It
4-1?
says I think it's 650. You can get a plus 650 with 3 places. So if you're
Dude, that might be down.
you go to
No,
the
I'm
top
not
of the
down.
board at 650 to bet Scottie to win 3 in a row it'd be a choice. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing that this week. So, I'm not going to be doing that.
The other thing, so with Max being next on the odds board, I do want to note that the players who played Pebble and then Spy in their first and second round, like they started at Pebble and then they played Spy, destroyed by the draw. Like they got absolutely wrecked by the draw. Not only did they have like a 3-stroke difference between the first 2 rounds, they didn't get 2 rounds at Pebble to try to like make that up. Like there was the potential at Pebble in the soft conditions to shoot a 60, to shoot a 61. And like you could have been a player who on the final round just comes out, shoots 62, moves from, T48 up to T9 or something like that, makes the week look a lot better. I think Max is one of those guys who I thought he played fine. I think he got the bad side of the draw. The putter wasn't falling for him like it usually is. He comes back now. He's kind of the next guy below Scottie and JT. I know you've been keeping tabs on the ball striking for Max. What's the state of the union on Max? And do you think back here on his home, technically, I guess his home state now or home city of Scottsdale, is there a bounce back Max win potential, or is it a no-go this week?
I mean, the numbers didn't look great from last week, but you could definitely pencil that up to the weather. But I know we talked about last week how like didn't look great with the long clubs, didn't look great with the driver, but in the end, like he figured it out and he ended up gaining like over around 2.5 strokes off the tee at Farmers, which like he did not look like he was on pace for early in the event. So maybe it was just a little thing that he worked out quicker than he thought he was going to, which probably makes sense because I don't think he would go into an event with a brand new tactic that he's not comfortable with. So, definitely has some bounce back capability. Home game, I guess you could say. And this field isn't Murderer's Row, so he doesn't have to beat many elite names to get his maiden win here.
Yeah, I think it's. Would I be surprised if Max won? No. Do I really think he's going to win? Also, no. Am I kind of out on? Not. I'm never out on Max. He's one of my favorite guys to bet, but he's kind of been letting me down lately. So I think I'm on the fence with Max at the moment. But
is his caddy back? That's a real question.
Well, yeah. So we didn't even know his caddy wasn't going to be there. First hole, I see his caddy's not there. I also see him from like
Chalked.
Middle of the fairway, hit it to like 40 feet. And I texted the second I saw that on the first hole. This is not happening this week for Max. So we need some boots on the ground reporting. If you see Joey Griner out there, let us know because Devo, anybody who's got boots on the ground, we need to know ahead of time next time.
Coach.
Max without Griner, that's an absolute no-go for me every single time. I did not know that he wasn't there. I love to bet Max with Griner because Griner always says, "Oh, that's a great shot" as soon as Max hits it. And when you can't see where the ball's going, it just gives me great joy every time I hear that because you know something nice is coming. So not having that was disappointing. But instead of going down the board, we're going to go down the strokes gained off the tee players because I think, like we've said, that's the starting point for this week. And you give me kind of your best case scenario for this player and the worst case scenario, like what you think the upside is, and then maybe what the floor is for this player. Obviously, we've talked about, or we don't really need to talk about Scottie. We know what Scottie is here. He leads this field off the tee. No one's going to be surprised if Scottie wins. He's like 3 or 4 to 1. Up next, off the tee, and I'm using the last 20 rounds here for this. Kevin Yu. Kevin Yu continues to strike the ball nicely. He has gained off the tee in every start this year. Sometimes he just puts up outrageous approach numbers like he did last week at Pebble, but he might be the worst putter in the history of the PGA Tour. First start here at the Waste Management. What's the best and worst case scenario for Mr. Kevin Yu?
Yeah, I feel like there's only a few more starts left in his bag where like because the people are starting to like remember or are starting to notice his game, and I think he has upside. I truthfully do. And you're looking at the names who have won here. It's not no great putters, but he isn't otherworldly bad. At least the numbers show that. But he like gains like a ton of strokes off the tee, and I was so shocked to see how high he ranked in strokes gained off the tee. I know it's a small sample size in 2024, but he was similar. He did the same thing last year in his few starts on the PGA Tour before he got hurt. So I think Kevin Yu is still like you're still juiced to squeeze out of him, truthfully. Which usually in this case I'd be like, nah, I'm not with this guy. His time is done. But I still think there's some juice to squeeze out of Kevin Yu.
I think the best case scenario for Kevin Yu, I think the best case scenario is a top 10 just because like of how well he drives it.
Yeah, I'll say
But
best
the
case 10.
putting, like I still need some putting here. Even it's not like the core thing that is like, and we know Scottie's not a good putter. We know Hideki's not a good putter, but like still every player who's won back to 2010 has gained on these greens. And you just can't just Kevin Yu to gain strokes off the or gain on the greens. He could miss the cut easily and let you down. So I think the risk reward, I don't know what the odds are on Kevin. I think they're in like the below 100. That's a no-go for me on Kevin Yu. But we see the path with the driving. All these guys, we're going to see a path with the driving. So we probably don't even need to see that. We're literally sorted by strokes gained off the tee.
Yeah.
Next up is a guy who I think we see a path to a potential victory here. He's going to be mega popular. He may be on the most tip chart, which I know would throw you off of him. Mr. Ben On, who's become a generational driver of the golf ball. He has played well here before, 2 top 10s. He's gained on these greens. He's got the top 5s in his previous 5 starts. I think we check all the boxes here on Ben On. Is the chart the only reason you wouldn't be on him?
Yeah, chart. He's going to be on the chart for sure. And his short game is tremendous. He's got great touch on and around the greens. And look, you just named his course history. 5 starts, multiple top 10s, driver, short game. It's not a surprise that he's played so well here. So I think he has a really high floor. I think he's going to play well, but he's only been in contention, twice in the last year, maybe like 1.5 times. And he kind of booted it last time at the Sony. He duffed a chip on Saturday to get into that final tie for the lead or something like that, and then missed a 4-footer to extend the playoff. So nerves are real. Nerves come with time. Some guys do it better than others, but so I'm not faulting Ben On. I love his stat profile. I'm trying to nitpick why I shouldn't play him because I think it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I think at 40-1, you can still get a 40-1. It appears to me makes all the sense in the world. But to your point, strokes gained vibes. It's a real thing here. Like this is going to be the most, I don't know the right word, crazy event of the year with the amount of people, the amount of hype. Like you gotta have some stones to win this event. I think that's why you've seen so many major champions win this event. Like you gotta be tough to win Waste Management. Like people are gonna be on you. So from a strokes gained, like man of the people situation, is Ben On a man of the people, or is he?
Yes, I do, because you see how active he's been on Twitter.
That's what I was about to say. Like I think Ben On, man of the people. I think like he might be able to ride the wave of positivity this week.
And you know who else was just active on Twitter for out of nowhere the last like 2 weeks? Wyndham Clark, like so active on Twitter out of nowhere. And you know who else has just been so active on Twitter out of nowhere? We haven't got there. I don't even know if he's in the field, but Mackenzie Hughes has been tweeting like crazy. so I don't even know if he's in the field. And then Michael Kim's so active on Twitter, and he almost fucking wins at Torrey. Be on Twitter, play good golf. It's not rocket science.
Just distract yourself a little bit off the course. Get on Twitter. Get to know the fans. So yeah, I don't know. I got to decide soon if I'm betting Ben On because I just think this price is just going to keep going down and down and down and down. But he makes all the sense in the world. The only negative on Ben On is can he win? I don't know, but I don't know if we can even use that as a thing anymore. We talked about that last week. Next, a guy that I know you have your eyes on at Augusta every year. I don't think he's in the field. He needs a win to get there. Cameron Champ. Another guy. Okay, we're not. Have you seen Cam Champ's approach numbers in the last couple of events?
Do I want to? Like, do you want to read them off?
Give me what's the worst case approach numbers that you think you could imagine? 2 straight starts, he posted these bad of approach numbers per round. Like minus how many do you think?
1.5.
He's lost 4 strokes on approach in back-to-back events.
He's an unserious golfer with a horrific short game too. He only has a driver. He can easily miss this cut.
He is. I think he should be plus money to make the cut. Like the Cameron Champ, he's never played good here before. That's a no-go. Here's a guy. Model is very high on this guy. He never wins. He will not win, I don't think. I might still bet him, even though he can't win. Adam Scott, another guy who's been driving the ball sensationally, has the approach play, has the short game. The putter's been good lately. Played here for the first time last year, finished T38. He never wins, though. He never,
No.
ever wins. I think I'm probably negative $1 million betting Adam Scott. Can this week be different? Can Adam Scott ride the people to a victory?
I was very impressed by Adam Scott's performance at Pebble, and I remember, I don't know if you remember, I like said Thursday or Wednesday night I just cashed out of Adam Scott, and I was serious because I bet him. Thankfully, I cashed out because he didn't even mix, but I was impressed with how he played. I know it was a middling finish, but he had a great round going on Saturday. Definitely could have improved, and the numbers looked really good. So after that long break he took, I'm happy with what I saw from Adam Scott. But like does he doesn't win? He's been in the mix. How many times in the last 2 years? Two. Wyndham 2 years ago, and then what was the last time he was in the mix?
He was up there at Byron. I had him there this year. He really wasn't there on the final
Byron.
day, but he was up there. I had him down in Australia. I thought like if there was a place that he could win, it'd be Australia. He was up there with
Besides on PGA Tour, I'm saying.
he was T5th at Wells Fargo, but I don't like he was so far behind Wyndy.
Yeah,
It just it could
I
happen,
just don't
but
see it.
he's going to let you down. He's a good play like outside of the outright markets, but I'm saying this almost for myself so that if I rewatch this before placing a bet, that today's Adam is saying don't bet Adam Scott because he's just going to let you down.
Do
But
you
the more
like him
time I
because
look
of
at it,
his name?
I always like the Adam Schenk, Adam Hadwin, Adam Scott, but he's going to let me down. I need to remember that. But I'm not saying he's not completely off the table, but it'll be a bad bet and I shouldn't do it. Keith Mitchell, next off the tee. He's gained some insane off the tee numbers here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Absolutely a man of the people without a doubt. Any guy with a visor, to me, always high on my list of man of the people rankings. He had lost his approach game for a lot of last season, but it's at least
Back.
flat. It's flat now. It's not good, but it's flat. It was good at Amex. Is he back in the mixable position, or is it too
Yeah,
hit and
I
miss?
do. I do think he's back into mixable position. He was really hitting the ball well for the first two rounds at or Pebble at the through the halfway point, but he gave it away on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it was Saturday. Yeah, I was very impressed by what I saw when I looked at the 36 hole update. And yeah, he had some of his best approach round in a while at the Amex, like you mentioned. He's consistently gaining off the tee. And yeah, I definitely like that strategy around here. He's a PGA Tour winner, but he hasn't mixed in a while. I kind of always regret betting Keith Mitchell, but I do think he is mixable here. I do.
Keith Mitchell for me, never an outright play because he literally never wins. That one win now is like a lifetime
So
ago.
long ago.
But always an interesting first round leader play. I think at an event like this, you get Keith Mitchell popping off for some birdies in the first round. Maybe a DFS play, maybe a placement, but probably not because even the placements, like he's too volatile. But on paper, Keith Mitchell makes sense this week. The next guy is a guy that you have been hyping up for this event since the beginning of the year and maybe even longer than that. You've claimed that Waste Management is the equivalent to a links course in some ways, and I have created a flow chart for this player. This player is Minwoo Lee, and I have a flow chart for Minwoo, and it's very simple. It says at the top, is this a links course? And if you say yes, and you go that way, then you say Minwoo can win this event. And if you say no, then he cannot win this event. But you're saying this might be a links course. So can Minwoo win this event? Is this a links course? What's the situation?
Yeah, outside of the weather, it's a true American links course, and everyone would agree with that. No, it's not an American links course, but I just love how important the short game comes into play, and short game comes into play at links courses. And I've been gearing up Minwoo here for a while, like I did on our one and done preview. I thought it was a great course fit for him, and you're gonna outside of Scottie Scheffler, he is the best driver plus around the green player in this field. Truthfully, maybe Justin Thomas, but the recent numbers, at least maybe not the super recent numbers, but last 20, 30 rounds, Minwoo is next. So I love Minwoo in a course like this. He's a young talent who will mix. And I noticed for some reason TPC why I don't know why it's blanking. Sawgrass had a weird corollary, and he was in the mix there. So I'm down for Minwoo. He's gonna win soon. He's gonna win. He's gonna win soon. He's too talented. This PGA Tour is diluted. There needs to be another star, and Minwoo very well could be that guy.
Yep, I think off the tee, I'm down for Minwoo. I'm a little worried. He hasn't putted like insanely well in a little while, and I need Minwoo gaining like 6+ on the greens for me to get on board. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a no-go for me on Minwoo this week. But for strokes gained man of the people, Minwoo checks that box for sure. So I could see it. It's not going to be for me, but if he does win, you invented him here. That'd be an absolute slam dunk fit clap for you if Minwoo comes home. The next driver is Max. We talked about him. Next is Corey Connors. I'm not even going to justify Connors with a conversation because the short game has only gotten worse. He was T17 here. He'll make the cut. He's made the cut every time he's played here. Like automatic made the cut here for Corey Connors. But just no. I'm not going to justify Corey Connors until he shows that he cares about his short game in any way, shape, or form. Next two guys.
I met him last week.
You met Corey down
No, I bet him last week.
Oh, I thought you said you met Corey, and I was like, tell him I apologize for what I just said. But yeah, you were on him last week. What did he do last week?
T31. Nothing. It was a horrible bet.
T31. Yeah, I didn't even know he was playing last week, to be honest with you. Didn't see him at any point on the leaderboard. The next two guys off the tee. Some surprising names, maybe ones to watch in the hashtag long shot season. Grayson Murray, driving the ball well, has made every cut here, 5 for 5 and made cuts for Grayson Murray. And then Tyler Duncan.
T-Dunk's is a phenomenal driver for some reason.
And has never made the cut here. 0 for 6 making cuts. So cross him off the list. But Grayson Murray, is there another? I mean, Grayson Murray he won the Snedeker something on the KFT, withdrew cut 1, Sony, cut T66. He could mix again. Why couldn't Grayson Murray get in the mix again?
I think he is safe to get through the cut again. I do not see him mixing again. I think he's obviously his numbers dropped off a little bit since his win, which is fine, but I just don't think, I think that was more of a quick spurt. I do not see him mixing here, truthfully.
Wyndham Clark, back-to-back, is that in play?
Yes, I do think it is, to be honest, because I was very high on Wyndham's chances before he shot 60. Like I start my writing for you on Thursday, Friday. I pencil it all in throughout the week, and I was super high on Wyndham, and I was leaning on that Amex approach numbers. It was like, he's finally hitting his irons good. We know what he can do off the tee, and that's kind of what you need. Like last year when he started trending, he picked up that iron game, which he forever lacked in his career. And I was like, oh, Amex, he's back with the irons. I saw him foreshadowing it. I didn't know if foreshadowing was going to lead to an immediate win, literally in his next start, which happened. But how much of a win was it? It was really only 36 holes of good golf because he did not play great at Spyglass. So he definitely still has a ton of good golf left in him. Is that back-to-back? Like, probably not, but I could definitely see him playing very well again.
Yeah, I'm in on the back-to-back. I don't know if I'm going to bet it.
You love back-to-backs.
It worked for me, and I think we've seen so far this year that guys who are playing good are just playing good. We saw it last week with Dietrich and Pavone kind of following up their farmer stuff. Like, there's so much inconsistency right now amongst like the mid-level of players that just like guys who are playing well, I don't think it hurts to ride them. We've seen Wyndy win 2 out of 4 starts when he did at Wells Fargo and the US Open. To your point, he's not like he'll be tired out from like shooting 60 and I guess the stress of like wondering if the tournament's going to keep going on, but he doesn't have that stress of playing late into Sunday and having that kind of fatigue. So I think it's a unique situation. He was T10 here last year. Checks kind of all the boxes you'd want here, drives it, has won a major, has a short game. Like, I would not be surprised at all if Wyndy is back in the mix here. The next set of off the tee guys, I think there's only one here that interests me. Maybe not. Johnny Vegas, he's been driving it well, but he's broken. He is a T10, T23 here last couple of starts. But EVR, Van Rooyen, I think there's a path for Van Rooyen this week. Carl Yuan, an interesting one. He drives it well, kind of just can play good sometimes.
He can play good sometimes, literally never will win a golf tournament. He cannot do it in contention. He has the most decorated and creative swing you could ever imagine, and it just refuses to hold up under pressure. And he's gotten into the mix like a few times to start his young PGA Tour career, and it's been like backwards, and then he'd have to like recover late, and then he'd recover late and find himself in the mix again. But I just do not see it holding up.
If you could only bet one of these three players, Sung Jae, who you've just before this told me was live, Slam and Sam Burns, or Jordan Spieth?
Great question. It's Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, I'm down for Spieth this week.
Jordan Spieth.
I consider myself, I don't think this is arrogant to say, I consider myself a bit of a Spieth whisperer. I think
Really?
like, I mean, the only times I bet Spieth last year,
RBC.
bad beat. Bay Hill, bad beat.
I had him too.
And I think I bet him one other time where he didn't necessarily mix, but 2 out of like Spieth is completely random player, like when he's going to mix and when he's not going to mix. And I hit 2 of his biggest mixes of the year last year. So I feel like I've got a good sense for when he's going to be bringing stuff to the table. And I think this is the perfect spot. Like he's gained tee to green 3 straight starts. Like the tee to green game's looking good. He gained a ton off the tee last week. Obviously, kind of an interesting course and weird numbers. He got destroyed on the greens, but it's Pebble. He hasn't putted great here. That's my concern. That one year when he finished T4, when he had been like playing terrible for a while, he like popped up and could putt again. But
definitely is.
I don't think he gains enough to win.
Because he did that thing again last week where he missed a handful of like 2-footers or 3-footers. And last year when he did that, he kind of did that in bunches. Like it was a few week thing, which is definitely a nervous thing. But I just love how, like when Jordan is an all or nothing guy, like he is so aggressive off the tee. You know what you're getting with Jordan on Thursday. Like you know what the result's going to be. He can, if he comes out the gates like 2-3 under through 9, like all right, we're locked and loaded. Like Jordan might be here on the weekend. So, but what are we seeing? Like a 22 on him? I think he's a great guy to start your card with, or less.
I think he's gone down below, unfortunately, with the withdrawal. So it's going to be a no for me on Jordan this week. I do think he'll be in the mix. I think there's a moment where we think Spieth is going to win the tournament, and then he's going to miss like a 3-foot putt and not win the tournament. But I think he'll play well. Burns, another guy. I am the Burns whisperer. That's confirmed. I bet him here before. I think he missed the cut when I bet him. He was T6 here last year. Definitely fits the mold of hit it really far. When he's hitting fairways, which he actually has been driving it a little bit more accurate lately, which he's going to need to do here. Because when he gets 2, just like bomb it, that's not going to work here. But the putter has been white hot, back-to-back starts, gaining a ton on the greens, which I like to see from Burns. Because once he gets hot, he kind of stays hot, especially he's been playing multiple weeks in a row here. The approach was a lot better at Pebble. He's gained on approach all 4 starts here. The price is tough. It's gotten down below 20 to 1 in a lot of places, which is tough for me.
But it's where he should be though, because he wins more than any of these guys that we're talking about.
Right. That's why my favorite thing to do is bet Burns in the 40s, because you just know that like that's a good bet with the percentage of time that he wins. Yeah, but he has fallen down. I think the best right now is 20 to 1. I don't hate it, especially with like the number of guys who have kind of fallen out of this field. But do I love it? No, I also don't love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like he's similar to Jordan, like long, aggressive driver. When he's on, he's can do great things. I worry about his chipping, but he's done it here before. He doesn't have immaculate course history, but he can surely contend again.
Cameron Young versus Teagues.
Cameron Young.
Wow. What's the reasoning for that?
I do not trust Teagues to keep it out of the cactuses for 72 holes, whereas Cameron Young has lapped the field off the tee here in his few starts. The rest of the game, it's not the best, and he's kind of gutless, but I do not think anyone wants to touch Cam Young. And you don't get labeled as gutless and will never win if you're not in the mix a ton of times and like doing great things. And Cam Young has only done that to start his short career. I know it's been a little bit more bleak over the last 6 months, but I think Cameron Young still has an incredibly high ceiling. Like I was watching Smiley and Jordan's podcast last night, and for whatever reason, Jordan mentioned like how good Cam Young is. Like he's like I watch Cam Young on the range and like I can't do things that he does. Like I think it's there. I do.
Yeah, I like Cam Young. I mean, he makes sense from the off the tee perspective without a doubt. Like it's a no brainer there. Maybe a sneaky desert golfer play. We saw him over there in Dubai, played well. Saudi, he played well the year before. Obviously, that's not the PGA Tour, but
Cam Young's on the sea.
He's on.
I think he's on the
He's
sea.
not going to be on the chart. He's not going to be on the chart. That's for sure.
35s? What are we seeing?
Yeah, we are seeing 40s. You can get a 40 on Caesars right now, which I'm not a CY guy. I'm as far from CY guys exist. Like when I see him show up on the screen, even when I have no like care in the world about bets or anything, I hope that it's a bad shot that I see from him. I don't know why. Like that's what happens when I see him on the screen. Under consideration for sure.
BK would be so mad if me and you S-rotted that.
It's possible. I would get to give it a look. Eric Cole or Posty this week. I feel like every week. I'm not saying like who do you think
they're the same guy,
right? They're the same guy. So is it a Posty week or a Cole week? If you had
well, I talked about Posty as like a similar path as Nick Taylor. Like when I was looking at Nick Taylor's success here, I was like, oh, was it like super short game? No, it wasn't. Like Nick Taylor found a way to hit a bunch of fairways, and Poston struggles hitting fairways, and like just driving as a whole. But he's overall a better driver than Eric Cole. So I don't think neither of the two can short game their way to victory. They have to find fairways and just drive it well. So Poston hasn't been showing that, but I'm gonna go with Poston over Cole because I trust him off the tee more than I do with Eric Cole.
That's fair. I got a note. My desert golfer all-star list. Adam Hadwin at the top of the list. He's 50 to 1 though, so that's a little low. I like Hadwin in the 80s, maybe even the 60s, but can't get on board Hadwin in the 50s. Siwoo Kim or Akshay this week.
Siwoo Kim does not have great course history. Akshay has lack thereof course history. But both of those guys have like high ceilings, and Siwoo has been playing all right. Akshay has been playing a lot of golf. I think that's a great question. I probably have to go back and forth with that one. I probably will go with Akshay just because Siwoo's been here more consistently and always has had a high ceiling and hasn't really proven it yet. So maybe something he doesn't love here. I will go with Akshay just because we haven't really seen it.
Yep. I love the driving from Akshay. I like all the stats actually, but I'm seeing from Akshay this year, the putter's just been massively improved. He talked about that being a focus for him, and now it's been 4 straight starts. It's not like it was just a one, like 4 straight starts gaining with the putter. I don't care who you are. I'm going to give you credit for that. The short game's been a little bit off, but he is a good short game around the greens player. Like he's borderline, like he's kind of just flat, sometimes up, sometimes down. The approach.
What's his ceiling, do you think?
I think he can win the event. I think Akshay.
Is there an ocean near?
That is the problem. But was there an ocean near Barracuda? There was a lake, Tahoe. So it's tough. But
yeah, you're right.
So, but I agree. I don't think you're right. He can't win because there's no water within view of Scottsdale. It's about as far from being around water as you could get. But I like him this week, and I think the ball striking makes sense. One other thing I looked at just for kicks was who's most likely to make a hole-in-one on 17 this week, because if you're looking for just an absolute guaranteed losing bet, but something to watch, I sorted the field L36 from 150 to 175 because that's usually where it falls in. The guy who's number one in this list, Sam Ryder, who's made a hole-in-one on this hole. So this idea of sorting the field this way, there's evidence that it could work because number one is Sam Ryder. Xander's out, obviously. Next, Lucas Glover. Glover could hit a hole-in-one. I don't see any reason why I couldn't. Doug Gim next. Doug high in the model. Could Doug mix this week?
He's been really bad, honestly. Like really bad.
He gained every category at Torrey. He might be back.
How bad are these odds? I have to ask.
for hole in one, probably terrible. I don't know what they are. You should not bet this. This is they've got if it's
yeah.
they got to be like 500 to 1. I would think if a hole in one.
Honestly, I was going to think they'd be worse than that.
They're
I
probably
think they're going to be worse. They're definitely worse than that.
Yeah, they're definitely worse than that. They should be like 500 to 1, but
oh yeah, they should be, but like
no,
they're probably like close to their outright number.
Scottie's probably like 20 to 1 for a hole in one.
Yeah,
he's next on this. Mark Hubbard absolutely could hit a hole in one.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Ball striking savant. He stayed on the ball striking string last week. Cole, I don't think Cole has a hole in one in him. Michael Kim absolutely doesn't have a hole in one in him. Akshay could hit a hole in one. I could see Akshay hitting a hole in one.
Yeah.
Hoagie could hit a hole in one. Burns, nope, not hitting a hole in one. Hadwin not hitting one. Eckroat, you think Eckroat could hit a hole in one?
Nah, that's just with the driver, and he gets a good kick. He's a driving accuracy savant, but no, he can't hit a hole in one.
I think Kevin Yu can like stick one to a couple feet, but I don't think it's going in. Brandon Wu, I could maybe Brandon get one. Davey T, I think Davey T could hit a hole in one. Yeah, what about Davey T?
He played well the Amex 2 years ago.
Yeah,
so.
What about Davey T just in general this week?
He hasn't. It hasn't been great. From what I remember.
No,
yeah, it hasn't been great. So no.
All right, and now to finish off the game we played last week, it almost worked out because we talked about Griot, and he was definitely up there. These are I'll give you a name in the hundreds, and you say can mix or can't mix. There's a lot more.
We almost wanted to bet Griot.
Yeah, we almost had Griot. All right, there's a lot more guys in the hundreds this week. Oh, your boy Jake Knapp. I saw you wrote up Jake Knapp. What's the deal with him?
Very impressive stat profile. Very small sample size, but hey, listen, I found a guy by the name of Will Zalatoris when he first came out, just with a stat profile that mirrored Jake Knapp, and I saw his numbers and I truthfully gasped how solid they were. It's very small, but we might have something cooking. What are his odds?
I'm on. Hold on, I'll give you the best number here.
He needs to be at a minimum 220. Like that's
150.
Yeah, okay. He can't mix. But if he was 220, he couldn't mix.
Yeah, the stats were good at Farmers. Scott Stallings. He's been playing better. I think he could mix. I'm not looking at his stats. I just with a name, I could see it happening.
Yeah, he was on the leaderboard. I mean, on the broadcast so much at the Farmers because he won it like 18 years ago, and like he was just like on the course. But he pops randomly, so I can see it. But he's been playing, I guess, a little bit better golf of late.
Of these, I'm looking at Bet365 here. I'm gonna give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 guys exactly at 100 to 1. If you could only bet one of these guys: Ryan Fox, Luke List, EVR, Billy Ho, Bez, Chesson Hadley.
That is a hilarious list of golfers. Who was after Ryan Fox?
Second guy. Luke List. Luke?
I'd probably go with List, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you were monitoring Billy Ho a couple weeks ago. What is there anything going on with Billy Ho that we need to be on the lookout for? Or is he?
I loved his 75 to 125 numbers. Really had me spinning, but no, it was not. Didn't work out. Missed the cut. Actually, cost me a 66. I'm not gonna lie, he did.
I wish if I would have known that, I wouldn't have brought it up. But I knew you're high on him. All right, we'll do the same thing at 250 to round this out. This includes a guy that you are very high on: Matty Schmid, Sammy Steves, Grayson Sig, Ben Coles, Johnny Vegas, Shamey P.
It's an interesting list. You're a Coles guy, so I'm gonna go with. I mean, to make the cut, I feel like we have to say because none of these guys are mixing. It's probably gonna be Schmid because he is just like. I watched this guy swing in person because I went at the Amex. He was playing with Novak, and I'm like boys with Novak now. We were like
BSB.
chopping it up for a while. BSB Novak, not right now. And he was partnered with Schmid, and Schmid is like 6'5". He is massive, and he was mashing the ball because I knew he had great like off the tee numbers, but he is huge and he stripes it off the tee. He's obviously a DP World Tour guy, a German guy, which they're mixing right now. He comes out the gates quick. He loves a good first round lead. So I think Schmidt's a good make the cut bet or 6K. I think he's $6,500 on DraftKings. I think he's a good plug there. Can definitely get through the cut.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of Matty Schmidt. Ball striking savant. Sometimes pops. Never
Sometimes not.
impossible to predict, but
Yeah.
I could see it. And actually, I lied because I like these names. The 90 to ones on Bet365. Give me one here. Monty, B Todd, Harry Ings, Proj, Shank, and Kurt Kitayama.
I'll save the Kurt case for you,
Thank you.
I'd probably go with who'd you say after Todd again? English. Yeah, I'll probably go with English because when he's at his best, he's a great driver. So he showed some signs at was it the week before Torrey Pines? He showed some signs, or am I correct there?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was the week before Torrey Pines.
It's Sony. Yeah, I bet him at Sony. He was just kind of around. It's Sony.
Okay, yeah.
He finished T10. Back in the day, 2016, he was third here. That was a long time ago, but
yeah. So talk to us about Kurt.
I don't know which week it's going to work out for him. I'm going to be riding him though. Going forward, I've already got 130 to 1 on him this week. I think he's down to about 110. So I'm not the only person who's excited about Kurt's chances this week. Led the field, although be it only 2 rounds of data at Pebble Beach. Led the field tee to green, gained across the board tee to green at Sony, dominated ball striking at Century. He's made every cut back to the Scottish. The good things are happening once again with Kurt with the ball striking. Like we know he's an elite tee to green player when he gets it cooking, and it's cooking right now. It just comes down to the putter. He's lost putting in every start back to Memorial. Like he is a guy who the putter just ebbs and flows, but that's how he's always been. And when it spikes, that's when we get mixing triple digit Kurt K, which we know he's going to do a few times a year. We come to a place where he gained nicely on the greens last year.
Really?
3.2 on the greens last year. So there's at least, if you say like, obviously, the only way he can win is he's got to gain something putting. He gained something putting here last year. I think these are greens where like you are a good ball striker, you give yourself easier putts than the guys who are bad ball strikers because you get below the hole uphill putts here versus like those nasty fast downhillers. So Kurt K is my triple digits play of the week. He's on the card at 130 to 1. Bay Hill, Scottie fucks at Bay Hill. Scottie fucks here. Kurt fucked at Bay Hill. Kurt can fuck here. Kurt
Yeah, I do like that. And I saw that in Kirk last week. He was my selection for my Saturday matchup of the day, which I've been getting absolutely destroyed on. I've been getting roasted on them. And I bet Kurt K over Shank. Kurt K had a great round, 5 under, beautiful. Shank goes out, plays with Rory and Xander, and absolutely laps them, shoots a 66 playing with Rory and Xander. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Coming off of an injury, too. So it's just a sign that to stop betting matchups. But it just goes to show Kurt is fucking. And I agree with you.
All right. That's a good spot to wrap it up. I did want to quickly note on Live that this week Live handicapping is strokes gained least likely to be partying. That's there's no stats on Live anyway, but if you're betting Live, just try to think of players who are least likely to be partying. They are in Vegas. The Super Bowl's in Vegas. Do you have an official Super Bowl bet or like a prop, or you got anything that you're excited about yet?
Truthfully, you know how into everything I am, and I've been extra into golf and hoops the last few days that I've been swamped, and I think the Chiefs are gonna win, but I feel like everyone's on the Chiefs, and I'm wrong. Is everyone betting the Chiefs? I know that doesn't really matter in football, but I feel like everyone's like, oh, you can't bet, you got to bet Patrick Mahomes as a dog. So, which yeah, like he's fucking Patrick Mahomes, but I just feel like it's never that easy. You have any thoughts? Because I haven't been swayed yet.
You know, I'm not a big NFL guy.
Yeah.
That's not really my thing. For the record, my girlfriend did bet both the Chiefs and the 49ers in the championship games, and that hit. And she's saying 49ers in the championship. She's already bet it. She got the -1, so she's already getting some CLV there. So if you're factoring that in, that is her selection. But yeah, I'm not. My Sunday it'll be hopefully mixing DP. hopefully mixing Waste and hopefully mixing Live Vegas. Like
leading into the Super Bowl, parlay it all.
Yeah, that's my dream scenario. So yeah,
we definitely parlaying the 3 winners on Sunday with a side.
Oh yeah,
like Sunday, like whoever is like in like the final few groups, pick 3 of them, pick with a side. That's an ultimate sweat. I think we're gonna text and we're gonna do that Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday night we'll
$10.
Get that figured out. Yeah, a big week ahead. 2 events all events in the desert. A week of desert golf, Vegas, Qatar, and one on Qatar. I don't understand why aren't the Qataris paying money for good players to come play the Qatar Masters? The Saudis are paying them. Like the field in the Qatar Masters is terrible every single year. It's like, why aren't the Qataris splashing the cash on the golf? Maybe they're not as bullish on golf as the Saudis, but like it would make sense to me that they would just pay a couple guys to come over and play. But I guess maybe with Live having a tournament the same week, that probably messed up their plans.
Yeah, they probably saw the schedules and were like, fuck, like another week of shitty golf.
Of course, that Sammy Valimaki won on last year. So,
yes, in a playoff, right?
So be on the lookout for that. Get to vincerix.com. We've got picks for all of the events. We got models for all the events. We got Matt's write-up on all of the players. Matt, good luck out there this week. I know you're going to be getting back into the winner's circle here soon enough.
We both are.
The time has come. All right. Thanks, sir.
Peace out.